Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Pastor Robert Thibodeau. Welcome to your Freedom of Faith video minute for today, which is March 24th. Today, we're going to finish up our study in John chapter 8, verses 1 through 11. We've been studying about the woman who was caught in the act of adultery, brought to Jesus by the Pharisees, interrupting his teaching session, threw her down in the midst of in front of Jesus, in front of everyone, and said, "Moses under the law has commanded us. She needs to be stoned. But we're bringing her to you so you can judge. What do you say we should do?" And they did that in an attempt to trap Jesus. They thought they had him because as a rabbi, he was supposed to teach the Torah, live by the Torah, and share the Torah with the people. But they know that he had Somekah. They hadn't figured out yet where his Somekah came from, which means authority. And Somekah is authority to be able to teach a new line of biblical teaching from the Torah. And Jesus' Somekah, which is the authority he had to create his own line of teaching, which the line of teaching is actually called a yoke, right? And I don't have time to get into all that right now. But his yoke was God's love, the love of God, that God loves you. God loves you so much that he gave me to die for you so you can go to heaven. That's basically the premise that he's on. And the Pharisees thought they had him because if he said, yes, the Torah says stone her, so she needs to die, then they could say, see, he teaches the Torah. This love of God stuff, the grace of God, the mercy of God, that's just all gibberish. He believes the Torah. But if he said, yes, my judgment is let her go because God loves her, then they could say he's not really a rabbi. He's not teaching the Torah, right? The law, the common law that is in Jewish society at that time, it comes from the Torah. And if he said just let her go, then they'd be able to say he's not teaching the law and discredit him in the eyes of everyone. Jesus didn't fall for it. He sat down, kneeled down on the ground, started writing in the dirt. I believe he wrote Somekah in the dirt and gave them something to think about. That his authority, his yoke, is his bond basically with God. And he's not violating the Torah. He stood up and said, you brought her to me to judge. My judgment is she needs to die under the law. But my judgment is also that whoever among you has never committed any sin, they can throw the first stone, that everyone else can join in. And everybody there had committed sin. Everybody there knew they were deserving of death, but for the mercy of God. And their sacrifices in the temple and their offerings and all that, they thought that made them pure and righteous in the eyes of God. All it was doing was covering their sin. They knew the blood was a covering for sin. But they had all sinned. This woman had sinned as well. They were all deserving of death. This woman was deserving of death. So if they killed her, what did that have to say about them? And from the eldest to the youngest, they tossed down their stones and walked away. Until finally there was no one left there except the crowd that was around them that Jesus had been teaching. And the woman, and Jesus lifted her up and said, woman, where's your accusers at? She goes, no one here, Lord. He goes, well, they brought you to me, the judge, and in order to have a trial, there has to be prosecution witnesses. On the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses is the law of the land, that's the only way someone could be stoned to death, and there's no witnesses here. Jesus says, I declare a mistrial. And then he says to her, go and sin no more. Now, she's obviously very repentant because she just had her life spared by Jesus. Amen. And you can just sense the repentance in her heart. Like, I am not doing that for anybody else ever again. I am not doing it. I refuse to do it. That is the old me. It's gone. Period. End of story. And Jesus said, no, don't do that anymore. Where did you hear that before? Over in John, in chapter 5, we see Jesus teaching in the synagogue, and there's a lame man there, and he tells him, take up your bed, walk, and go home. And, there's a big uproar about it because it's a Sabbath day. And Jesus found him later in the temple because he didn't know who it was that had healed him. He said, somebody just came along, said, pick up your bed and walk. Now go home. And I did it because he told me to do it. I said, well, who was it that healed you? Said, I don't know. Well, later he found out it was Jesus right here. And Jesus said to him, he answered, he that made me whole, the same said to me, take up my bed and walk. And they asked him, which man said that to you? Take up your bed and walk. He didn't know. And he was healed, didn't know who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Afterward, or later, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, behold, you have been made whole. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you. So here you see separating yourself from a known sin, separating yourself from knowing that what you're doing is wrong. If you do not separate yourself from that sin, even though you've been forgiven by Jesus, forgiven by the Father, if you continue to dwell in that sin, if you continue to pursue that sin, if you continue to support that sin, if you continue to live as the world, if you continue to bow your knees at the god of mammon, if you continue to put up with that pornography, if you continue to put up with alcoholism, if you continue in whatever sin you have, and everybody has something that they do. It might be watching soap operas on TV. If you continue, even though you've been cleansed, even though your spirit's been regenerated, even though you've been born again, even though you have the righteousness of God on the inside of you, and everything you do should be blessed, if you continue to live in sin, expect something far worse than what you've already experienced. That's the promise from God in this. Go and sin no more, Jesus told her. This lame man that had been healed, Jesus told him, behold, you've been made whole. I've restored you. Go and sin no more, lest something worse happens to you. Now, again, I don't like leaving you on a downer, right? The important part is Jesus forgives you. Yeah, even if you backslide, he forgives you. But there are usually consequences to our sins, natural consequences. It could be divorce. It could be disease. It could be losing your job. It could be a multitude of different things that when you look back, you're saying, why did I go do that? That is so stupid. I've been delivered from that, and now this has happened. Folks, in order to be blessed in all that you do, you have to realize that you have been made whole. Jesus has paid the price, whatever price that may be. There's nothing that he has not paid the price for if you just walk in it. Go. You've been made whole. You've been made righteous. You have been made children of the Most High God. Go and sin no more. That way you can be blessed in all that you do.